As U.S.-Israel pressure mounts on Tehran, Iran still stands out as a hard target for war planners who know that military victory on paper could be far messier and costlier in reality. Despite years of sanctions, war damage, and diplomatic isolation, Iran continues to deter any direct invasion, forcing its adversaries to think in terms of pressure and strikes rather than occupation. Israel held a clear edge in the air during the June 2025 war, yet even sustained bombardment failed to break Iran's core power structures or force fundamental political change. Iran's aging air force was heavily degraded in that conflict, but the campaign ultimately did not deliver regime collapse, surrender, or a decisive strategic defeat for Tehran. Several top Iranian generals were killed, yet command networks and missile operations continued to function, showing how deeply Iran has built redundancies into its wartime system. Iran's regional proxies like Hezbollah were hit hard, but Tehran as a state retained strategic leverage, keeping the ability to threaten Israel, U.S. forces, and shipping lanes after the fighting. With Moscow tied down in Ukraine, only a cautious China now stands faintly in Iran's corner, offering trade and limited security backing but avoiding open confrontation with Washington. Experts have warned that a full-scale invasion of Iran could become another Iraq war for Washington's planners, with spiraling costs, casualties, and blowback. Any invasion would force U.S.-Israeli forces to fight Iran's brutal geography, vast scale, and deeply entrenched asymmetric warfare strategy all at once. William Hartung said, and I quote, "It's reminiscent of the beginning of the Iraq War, when they said it's going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to cost anything. A couple of $1 trillion, hundreds of thousands of casualties, many U.S. veterans coming home with PTSD. A regime that was sectarian that paved the way for ISIS. It couldn't have gone worse. This is a different beginning, but the end is uncertain, and I don't think we want to go there." Unquote. Iran sits astride the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow choke point through which nearly 20% of the world's traded oil flows every single day. Tehran has repeatedly threatened to close the strait if it faces an existential attack, using that threat as a central pillar of its deterrence strategy. Any attempted closure could be enforced with sea mines, coastal anti-ship missiles, attack drones, and swarms of fast boats designed to harass larger warships. U.S. allies such as Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar depend on Hormuz for most of their energy exports, making the waterway a shared vulnerability. This vulnerability is one key reason regional partners quietly oppose a full-scale war with Iran, fearing that their own economies would be among the first casualties. Iran can also disrupt Red Sea shipping via allied Houthi forces, amplifying any conflict-driven energy shock into a wider global trade crisis. Iran's primary military strength today lies in its large missile and drone arsenal, rather than in conventional air power or heavy armor. During the 12-day war, Iran is reported to have fired more than 500 missiles at Israel, with at least some volleys penetrating layered air defenses. U.S. bases spread across the Gulf region all sit within range of Iran's ballistic missiles, turning fixed installations into potential high-value targets. Former UN weapons inspector Scott Ritter has warned that a serious exchange could see Iran kill hundreds of U.S. troops in concentrated strikes on those bases. The U.S. currently has tens of thousands of soldiers spread across roughly 18 major bases in the wider region, magnifying the human stakes of any war scenario. Iran has the ability to shut down the region's energy production whenever it wants. Iran can cause devastating damage to U.S. military bases, which could result in the deaths of hundreds or even thousands of American soldiers. And Iran could carry out decisive attacks on Israel that would weaken its ability to survive and make the land unlivable for millions of its residents. Unquote. As per CSIS assessments, Iran now fields the largest and most diverse missile force in the entire Middle East, spanning short, medium, and longer-range systems. Estimates put Iran's missile inventory at roughly 2,500 to 3,000 systems before 2025, and analysts say that number is climbing again as production ramps back up. Analysts believe that Iran may now be producing hundreds of ballistic missiles each month, steadily replenishing and expanding its stockpile. Iran fields a wide and layered missile arsenal that can reach targets across the Gulf region and far beyond. Its short-range ballistic portfolio includes the Shahab-1, with an approximate 300-kilometer range and a 770 to 1,000-kilogram warhead. The Shahab-2 extends that reach to around 500 kilometers with a payload of about 700 kilograms, bringing more distant Gulf sites into range. The Qayyam-1 pushes the envelope further to roughly 700 to 800 kilometers, carrying around 650 kilograms of explosives toward high-value regional targets. Within the Fateh 110 family, Iran fields solid-fuel missiles of about 300 kilometers range and 450-kilogram payloads, optimized for quick launches from mobile platforms. The Fateh 313 and Fateh Mobin derivatives stretch to roughly 500 kilometers with 350 to 450-kilogram warheads, combining range with improved guidance for precision attacks. Zulfiqar missiles can reach out to about 700 kilometers, with 450 to 600 kilogram payloads aimed at runways, depots, and command centers. The Desfal, with an estimated range of around 1,000 kilometers and a payload in the 450 to 600 kilogram class, sits at the upper edge of what many analysts still label short range, bridging into theater-level strike capability. Among Iran's medium-range systems, the Shahab-3 is believed to reach roughly 800 to 1,000 kilometers, placing much of the northern Gulf at risk. Ghada 110 extends this to about 1,600 kilometers with a payload of around 750 kilograms, enabling deeper strikes into the broader Middle East. Ahmad-1 reportedly has a range of up to about 2,000 kilometers and uses a maneuverable re-entry vehicle to improve accuracy against defended targets. Rezvan, with an estimated range near 1,400 kilometers, is described as tailored for higher precision regional strikes. The Khorramshahr 1, 2, and 4 variants are credited with roughly 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers of range and payloads between 750 and 1,500 kilograms, providing flexible options with different warheads and accuracy levels. Sejal, a solid-fuel two-stage missile, is thought to reach 1,500 to 2,500 kilometers, making it one of Iran's longest-range battlefield systems. The Hajj Qasim, at around 1,400 kilometers, is seen as a Fateh family derivative with a heavier warhead for hardened targets. Khaybar Shikan, with an estimated 1,450 kilometer range, is reportedly optimized to penetrate regional missile defense shields. The Fateh 1 and Fateh 2 are advertised as hypersonic-class systems with maneuvering warheads in the 1,400 to 1,500 kilometer range bracket, with Iran claiming speeds of Mach 13 or higher, which, if accurate, would drastically compress warning times for regional capitals. Iran also fields thousands of long-range Shahid attack drones and Mohajer series UAVs, giving it cheap, attritable tools for saturated long-distance strike. The same Shahid drones used in the Ukraine war could be launched in mass waves to saturate air defenses over Gulf bases and naval task forces. As per the International Institute for Strategic Studies and other studies, Iran's missiles and UAVs are explicitly designed to offset its weak air force by providing long-range strike power without relying on modern fighters. Interestingly, Iran's navy is purpose-built for asymmetric warfare in narrow, coastal waters, rather than blue water battles with superpower fleets. Global firepower ranks Iran's navy in the middle of the global pack, but that simple ranking hides doctrine centered on hit-and-run, swarm, and denial tactics. Dozens of submarines, patrol craft, and missile boats can swarm Hormuz's narrow shipping lanes, overwhelming slower, larger ships with numbers and proximity. Iran's navy structure is split between the regular Islamic Republic of Iran Navy, or IRIN, and the IRGC Maritime Forces, creating a dual command system. This twin-track setup is designed for asymmetric high-denial warfare, focusing on swarming tactics, surprise strikes, and area denial operations instead of conventional blue water battles. Across the IRIN alone, there are over 18,500 personnel, forming a sizable manpower pool dedicated to patrols, combat missions, and support roles at sea. The fleet fields more than 100 vessels, including a mix of surface warships and submarines, giving Iran a broad set of tools to contest waters close to its coastline. By 2024, open-source indices such as Global Firepower ranked Iran's navy around 37th globally. Among its major assets are the Zulfiqar, Sahand, and Zagros destroyers, larger combatants that Tehran showcases as symbols of its industrial and military self-reliance. The fleet also includes Alfan and Moj-class frigates, versatile surface ships used for escort missions, air defense roles, and coastal protection duties. Iran also operates amphibious ships and fast attack corvettes, enabling troop movements, island operations, and rapid hit-and-run strikes in crowded, shallow waters. Below the surface, it fields roughly 19 to 27 submarines, from larger Kilo-class boats to compact Ghawtar mini-subs. Fateh-class indigenous submarines add a newer homegrown undersea capability, demonstrating Iran's push to reduce reliance on foreign suppliers. On top of that, Tehran is expanding drone naval systems, pairing crewed ships with unmanned surface and aerial platforms for surveillance and precision strikes. Operationally, Iran's navy secures the Persian Gulf and the Caspian Sea, maintaining a constant presence in waters that are vital for its economy and regional influence. It protects shipping lanes and territorial waters, aiming to control approaches to key ports and signal that any interference with Iranian trade comes with risks. The force is capable of mine warfare and long-range missile operations from the sea. All of this unfolds as President Trump has dispatched another U.S. carrier to join the USS Abraham Lincoln in Gulf waters, doubling visible American firepower. On February 13th, Trump declared that regime change could be the best thing for Iran, sharpening Tehran's sense that U.S. pressure is aimed at its survival, not just its policies.
What can Iran do to avoid attack? Give us the deal that they should have given us the first time. If they give us the right deal, we won't do that. But, historically, they haven't done that. But I will say they want to talk, but so far they do a lot of talking and no action.
When are those talks, Mr. President?
They've already started.
Do you want regime change in Iran?
Well, it seems like that would be the best thing that could happen. For 47 years, they've been talking and talking and talking. In the meantime, we've lost a lot of lives while they talk, and legs blown off, arms blown off, faces blown off. It's been going on for a long time, so let's see what happens. In the meantime, we have tremendous power has arrived, and additional power, as you know, another carrier is going out shortly. So we'll see it out. If we could get it settled for once and for all, that would be good.
Who do you want to take over?
What?
Who would you want to take over?
I don't want to talk about that. There are people.
On any map, the US and Israel dwarf Iran in raw power, but in reality Tehran can still raise the global economic and military costs of a conflict to sky-high levels. For US planners, every strike option now has to be weighed against Iran's proven power to hit back hard, against bases, allies, and energy flows, before any trigger is ever pulled.